Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Madison, and today I thought we would do some plant chores. I need to cut up this Rhaphidophora Decursiva because we have a bunch of bare nodes here, and then redress him, or at least what's left of him, onto this trellis. I've got some air layering I want to do, and put a plant on a new plank. So let's go ahead and get started. So first with this big bad boy, you're not going to be able to see me on this one, but hopefully I'll have some other good footage. But I'm just going to start taking this down. He's just been all held up with plant Velcro. So we're just going to take all this off of here, see what we're working with. So much Velcro. Alrighty. So now we can kind of just start letting him fall down. Hopefully we don't snap anything, but we're taking cuttings anyway, so if we make any snaps, it's not the end of the world. Alrighty, so hopefully you can see me down here. We've got this long vine that is just totally bare, and then we have some beautiful leaves at the very top. So we're going to cut this totally up. And then, what else do we have going on here? So, let's look at this guy. Wow, that is long. For anyone that's unfamiliar with this plant, with the Rhaphidophora Decursiva, it needs something to climb onto. It needs to be latched onto something. Otherwise, it's just going to send out big long runners like this, and until it gets something to really grab onto with its aerial roots, and then it will start pushing out growth. So don't do this. Be better than me, and give your plant something to really grow onto, and then keep an eye on it. My issue with this one is I just wasn't keeping it wrapped up well enough. I don't remember what I had this on before, just some measly little piece of wood. I think it wasn't an actual trellis or anything like that. So yeah, it wasn't very well supported. I think we just need to start cutting and see what we're left with here. So I'm going to start with this one because it is through. Hopefully you can see here, it's like absolutely through this. So I've got my scissors here. I did go ahead and sanitize these just by hitting them with a flame for a few seconds and wiping them clean. I'm gonna cut. Boom. Alrighty. We've made our first cut. It's like a haircut you didn't really want to do. So as you can see, we have at least one little aerial root coming along almost every single node here, unless I accidentally knocked it off in that whole process. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cut right in between. If our node is right here, hopefully you can see, I'll put it in front of my face. If the node is right here, we're going to cut on either side in between and leave us a little bit of room just in case we get rot. Then we have some space to cut that rot off and leave a fresh cut if need be. Wow. These are so thick. Okay, I'm going to leave this as is just because it's so beautiful, and then I will try and root it from right here and see if we can just keep some good growth happening. So I'm going to let all of these callus over as well. I would usually just kind of be naughty and just put them directly after chopping into some damp sphagnum moss, but today I really want these to have like the best chance possible. So I'm going to let them callus over for about an hour, maybe 2 hours. Ooh, that was kind of a risky cut. Okay, hopefully you can see here. I'll try and put it in front of my face so that you can see, but this is a one leaf cutting that I just took. It was a little bit close here to this other node that was next to it. They're a little bit tight, but I don't think I risked any of this node here, so I think we should be okay. And we do have a few aerial root nubbins happening, so hopefully this doesn't take too long to root up and continue to be beautiful. I'm hoping just to make a big, beautiful pot of this one day. So we'll see how that goes. I will definitely keep you guys updated. So we've got a bunch, let me show you here, a bunch of node chunks from our first vine. We'll set those off to the side. I do have damp sphagnum here. It's working on soaking up the water, but this is some long fiber sphagnum moss. All right, so let's take a look at this one. Ooh, this is a really long one. Wowza. Alrighty, we have so many bare nodes here. Where is that node? Alrighty, so I'm gonna chop it right before our first bare node on this long vine. Let's see if I can grab it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so sit back down here. So this is the long vine we're gonna chop up next. We do have some leaves along here, so it really hurts to chop this one up, but honestly, there's so many bare nodes that it just kind of looks silly. Ooh, these nodes are getting thicker and thicker as we go. Our nodes are getting really far apart, and that's showing it was really searching for some sun and for something to attach to. So hopefully I can not do this plant so dirty this next time around. But, you know, plants are all about learning. That's what this whole hobby is about, is just having fun and learning from our mistakes. All right, so far we have a really nice little bouquet happening of one node cuttings. And then we've got a bunch more of our just plain leafless nodes. So again, we're gonna let those callus over. And already you can kind of see, let me show you. Man, this one is such a sad one to cut too because it's so well leaved, I guess you could say. There's plenty of leaves on all these nodes at the bottom, but then it just gets so bare. But it's also so bare right at the base of the plant. So I'm just going to chop it right at the base. Oof, this guy's getting serious haircut. Oh my gosh. And then, yeah, again, I'm just going to cut every single one. I'm going to skip through this again for you. And we're just going to get it going. Gosh, this is so long. So yeah, again, all bare. I think that's all the chopping we're going to do to this plant. We've chopped it back sufficiently, I would say. All I'm going to do is just retie up this guy so that it feels nice and secure on there, and then hopefully a bunch of new growth points will activate. I'm going to set him off to the side, maybe. All right, we did it. While those are callusing, let's go ahead and do some air layering on a plant that really needs it so that way when I cut it, we have plenty of roots. Alrighty, so hopefully you can see here, this is going to be the next plant that we're going to be doing some work on today. So this is my philodendron, what are you? Philodendron pedatum. And it has seen better days, especially I think it's just since my surgery, I've had a much harder time really like getting in and inspecting my plants and checking them as I would usually do. And it's got some sort of pest. So last night I did do a thorough spray down of a ton of plants, this guy included. So he's been nicely sprayed. That's all dried off now. and I really want to cut him back, but I love this plant. I love this plant so much. So before I make any cuts, I want to have more substantial roots happening from each node. So what we're going to do is we are going to air layer this guy, and that just means we're going to be taking some of that long fiber sphagnum moss. When it's damp, we're going to wrap it around the node, and then we're going to take that and we're going to wrap that in some cling wrap, or like, you know, something of the sort. That way it's staying nice and moist in there, and that will promote more root growth. And then once we have some substantial roots, we'll go ahead and make some cuts in like the next 2 weeks or something like that. So let's see here. I'm going to start at the bottom and work our way up. I think I'm probably going to want to cut it back to about this node here. So I'm going to start air layering on the node right above it. I have my bowl of damp sphagnum here, and again, it's that long fiber, beautiful sphagnum moss. This stuff in particular, let me show you the bag. I just found some. I've been having a really hard time finding any long fiber sphagnum moss, period, but I was just able to find this stuff. So this is by Better Grow. It is their premium grade orchid moss is what they're calling it. And on the back, it's essentially just their premium grade sphagnum moss, long fiber sphagnum moss. So far, I think it's beautiful. It's much lighter in color than like the regular non-premium grade sphagnum that I would get, I suppose. It's really, really light and fluffy, just right off the bat. So I really, really enjoy this. I do just want to squeeze some of the water out of this. Actually, let's be smart here and let's grab the cling wrap first. So we've got our handy dandy cling wrap. I'm just like to tear a little piece off before, because if I'm being totally honest, this is always a little bit tricky for me. I always have kind of a hard time, and there usually ends up being tape involved, which isn't a big deal, but you know, if I can avoid it, I'd like to. So again, I'm going to squeeze out some of that excess water so it's not so crazy damp. And then I'm just going to take some, maybe not too much. They look like little fuzzy caterpillars. They're so cute. All right, so I'm just going to take it and just kind of loosely, hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing, loosely wrap it around this node. And then I'm going to take my bit of cling wrap and wrap that all the way around that node and all that sphagnum, which is kind of tricky because I don't necessarily want to be getting the cling wrap and the damp sphagnum wrapped around the, what's it called? Well, I guess we do. I was thinking I didn't want the cling wrap also wrapped around this wood stake that I've got in here, but I actually think I do want to try doing that. Let me try this over again. That way, those aerial roots also will still have something to grab onto, if that makes sense. So let me try this again. See, I'm figuring it out with you guys here. So again, I'm gonna lightly wrap this damp sphagnum around. We're gonna take our cling wrap, and this time I'm gonna wrap it all the way around the, oh no, this is harder than it looks. Okay. Take 3, y'all. Let's try this again. This is kind of tricky. Okay. I think it's so tricky because I'm not actually looking directly at it. I'm from behind. Alrighty, so let's try this again here. Wrap our cling wrap all the way around. Now, I do want to avoid wrapping up this. This is attached to a leaf here. I don't want to get the leaf in there as well, because that could just promote rot. And we just want to promote growth. Ah, there we go. Third time is a charm. I think I want to put just one more piece of cling wrap around here just to kind of secure it a little bit more. I think that looks pretty darn good. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to take this piece of Velcro off so I can have access to this next node right above. See, I always forget this. I need to get my cling wrap ready first so that I can just quickly grab it. Alrighty. So again, try and get that sphagnum around the back side of the node as well, which I'm not going to lie, again, it is It's a little bit tricky to do until you kind of get your flow. And then again, grab that, wrap it all the way around. And now that we already have some cling wrap on here for the other cling wrap to stick to, it's much, much easier. And I don't think I'm gonna need a second piece. So way easier for that one. And we're just gonna continue and do the same thing all the way up this plant. It looks funky, but we've got all of our nodes up top air layered. So we've got the sphagnum loosely wrapped around them. I'm just gonna put another piece or two of the cling wrap just to make sure that everything stays fairly enclosed. And then the way I'll keep this guy watered and thriving as much as possible is just by using those little squeezy bottles that I've talked about before. I'll just use those to just get right on in there with that little nozzle so that I can just squeeze them right into the little root section or the little sphagnum moss section. And then before we know it, we will start seeing some roots along the outside of the moss. So we will just wait patiently for that to happen. And until then, happy growing for this guy, I suppose, eh? Woofda. They call it a Giganteum for a reason, don't they? Alrighty, so this bad boy is my Philodendron Giganteum. You're not going to be able to see me at all, but hopefully you can see this guy and put him on my lap. Maybe you can see him a little better. But he's just been popping off like crazy, and as you can see, he's already well above this sad little piece of wood that I've got in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch out that piece of wood with this much bigger piece of wood. That way he's got a little bit more time to grow before I have to fully repot him and get him a different, larger plank. Woo! That's scary. I'm gonna have to be really careful with this because it's a lot being supported by that. I am gonna have to cut this one day too, but that's not today. I'm not ready for that. Let's actually peek at the bottom. I'm not seeing any roots down here yet, so I am just gonna wiggle out this piece of wood. It's really difficult while holding onto it. Wow, this is in there. Okay. Wow. All right, we got it out, so we are upgrading quite a bit. If you can see here, we are definitely upgrading in size. It is the same width at the bottom, so hopefully, yeah, this is really easy to situate back in here. I just poured a little bit of water in at the back just to help the dirt kind of settle in a little bit more, or the soil rather settle in a bit more. So I'm gonna try and quickly get this back strapped up here at the base so that we can work on that top portion. Yikes. I've got some plant Velcro here. Let's just start attaching kind of every node or every other node or something like that. That way it's nice and secure. This feels really wobbly and risky. Ooh. I almost wish I had some more soil right now so that way I could just kind of top it off a little bit. I feel like that would really help, but I don't. So we're just gonna make it work. Make it work, as Tim Gunn would say. It's a Tim Gunn thing, right? I think it is anyway. I don't know. Oh, I love pulling these sheaths off. Oh, it's so satisfying. And I don't know if you can see, but I have these really, hello, I have these really long aerial roots right here that before I did have wrapped around for a bit. So I'm going to try and do that again. I have this piece of Velcro here. So I'm just going to come from the front and put it onto itself essentially. And you just kind of carry these around so that they're hugging the wood a little bit more. All right, we are a little bit on the wobbly side. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. I think I might just look for a heavier pot to set this entire thing in. Because like I said, I don't think it is in desperate need of a repot quite yet. So I'm just going to let it keep doing its thing. If it starts pushing out smaller leaves, or if the leaves start coming out like way slower or something like that, then I'll take that as a sign that this needs to be repotted. Let's start taking a peek at these nodes. I'm gonna set all of these guys off to the side again, and we're just gonna start by working with our leafless nodes. But look at all that, so beautiful. I love how thick this foliage is, so lovely. We're gonna use this tray here. I stole this from my boyfriend. He uses this for cutting clones and stuff like that and rooting those up. But we're gonna root up our Rhaphidophora Decursiva nodes in here. So I'm gonna grab our moss. It looks like I'm actually gonna need to put some more moss in here. This is kind of fun so you can see. This is what it looks like before it's got any sort of water in it or any added water. I do think it still has some moisture content because when the sphagnum was just in the bag at the store, it was had a little bit of condensation inside of the bag. So I thought that was a really good sign. Hopefully this will turn into nice bright green live moss before we know it, because that is just so beautiful to see. I have a couple little pots just of live moss now. They didn't start that way, but they are now. I think whatever else was in them kind of passed the torch on to the moss, and that's totally fine with me. Here is our sphagnum moss now that we are nice and damp. We've got a nice, fairly evenly spread bed of moss here. This is what, don't mind, it's really, really dirty. This is what's gonna go on top after we have everything in there, and it has little like vents at the top, 2 vents at the top, so you can adjust how much air you want to allow in there. I know I said I was gonna leave some length on these because I want to have some room for air if there is rot, but this is a lot of room for air here, so I'm gonna hold off on these super long ones at the end until I see just how much space I have to work with in here. When I'm putting them in the sphagnum, I'm not just like lying them right on top. I am kind of pressing them in a little bit, and I'm making sure that if I have a visible aerial root already, that is pointed into the moss, and then I just kind of nestle it in there a little bit. We're definitely gonna have to cut those, that's for sure. We're already running out of space, I feel like, but we'll be able to kind of readjust these a little bit and put them a little bit closer together. I got cut off, I ran out of recording space. I didn't realize it. So we missed out on some stuff, but nothing crazy. I will just show you what I did really quick while I didn't realize I wasn't recording. So what I did was I took a bunch of the Rhaphidophora Decursiva cuttings with the leaves, and I put them in water. So I've got water filled up to about here with all of the nodes just in the water. I was thinking I might need to get a second water vessel to put these in just so that they're not so crowded, and that way I can more easily, ooh, I thought there was a bug. It was a crumb somehow. But that way I can more easily keep an eye on if there's happening like any rot in here or any positive new growth. Either way, I can keep a little bit of a better eye on it. But for now, all of these hanging in here will do just fine. I've got these two, oh, falling out of here. I've got these 2 one-leaf cuttings as well. I've just popped in some damp sphagnum. We have our dome on it here, ready to go. But this tray is already getting really, really filled up, and I'm just not gonna have enough room for all of these left over with all of the like long pieces, when really the part that we need is like this little section right here. That's really what we need. The rest is just insurance, basically. If it starts to rot, then you can cut it off until it's fresh so that the fresh end is exposed and you don't leave any rot there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these up a little bit more, let them callus over for another 30 minutes or so. And then at the end, I will show them to you all sitting in here snuggled up. And they are gonna live just up here in this room. This is my plant room / office / everything room. They're gonna live up here. I have a grow light. You can't see it, but there's a table over here in the corner with a grow light under it. They're gonna live right under that table, under the grow light, so that they're getting plenty of light and also plenty of humidity. I'm gonna have both of these. You can see on top here we have some little vents, but I'm gonna have them completely closed for at least the first week here until I start to see some root growth happening, something happening, and then I'll slowly start to introduce more air in there. That way, by the time they're ready to be potted up, they should just be acclimated to just the regular ambient humidity and not just used to this nice warm dome. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching and joining me on this one, doing some plant chores. I'm really excited to keep you guys posted on how all of these Rhaphidophora decursiva cuttings do, on how our air layering does for the pedatum over here, and how our big ol', I almost called him a gloriosum, I wish, our big old giganteum is doing on that new pole. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on this channel and on my Instagram plant therapy for any fun updates on growth or any sad updates. I'll make sure to put that there as well. Thank you so much for watching and joining me. I will see you guys next week. Subscribe for more.